Tonight we're going to tell you an incredible story. Mankind's creation by extraordinary species that occupied the planet 450,000 years ago. It's the special work of Marshall Clarfeld. It's called Adam the Missing Link. And we'll be back with Marshall in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. Now, he's got a varied career. He's been in politics. He has worked for some heavy hitters. He's worked in the New Hampshire presidential primary election in 1976. But in spite of all that excitement, the lingering questions about man's origins that Marshall Clarfeld pursued while an undergraduate at Caltech still haunted him. He completed his book, Adam the Missing Link, which truly does blow the lid off the closely held package of historical and scientific facts proving that the human race was created by alien genetic engineering technology a long time ago. Here he is, Marshall Clarfeld, back on Coast to Coast. Marshall, how are you?
Fine, George. Good to be with you again.
Me too. I'm looking forward to this. Incredible. I mean, every time I read this information about this and the theories, your theories, and it's similar to Zecharia Sitchin's somewhat, just fascinating. Tell me a little bit more about your background, Marshall.
Okay. Well, like you indicated, I went to Caltech, and it was kind of an exciting time. And I entered as a freshman in 1947, George, believe it or not. And that's when Roswell happened.
That's right.
That was an exciting thing. I mean, the UFO came into our language in a big way because of the events at Roswell in 1947. So I became very excited about that. I spent 4 years there in Pasadena, graduated as a mechanical engineer, and went right into industry with my industrial career. But during that period, George, I was blessed with a couple of professors I had at Caltech. One was Richard Feynman in physics, and the other was Linus Pauling in chemistry. So being curious as to what these great minds, you might say, and I'm a young kid at the time, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to know, I asked Feynman, did he believe in UFOs? You know, this is the newest thing happening around Pasadena, and here's my physics guy. He hadn't got his Nobel Prize yet, but he still was a very bright gentleman. And I said, Dr. Feynman, do you believe in UFOs? And he gave me the most interesting answer probably of my lifetime, which I quoted and put in my book, and I can tell you if you're interested exactly what he said.
Absolutely.
Well, okay. He said, Clarfeld, he says, I believe in the law of probability. He says there are over 400 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy, and there's over 100 billion galaxies in the universe. He says, the law of probability tells me that there are 10,000 solar systems just like ours, and we're the youngest because our star is, only 4.5 billion years old. He says, now, if any of those civilizations of that 10,000 survived their space age, they could have visited us. Yes, I believe in UFOs. Well, at that time, I was, young and kind of brazen, and I said, okay, that's a good answer. I'll remember it, and I did. And now that I look back on it, George, what he said was profound. I mean, 10,000 systems just like ours.
Absolutely. At least.
And he said that, the secret was to survive your space age, which means that you had atomic weapons and you had rockets. And if you didn't blow yourself off the planet that you occupied, you're going to become space travelers, which is like that's where we are right now. We're on the threshold of our space age, and we haven't blown ourselves up yet. So one day we're going to go out into space and visit other solar systems, just as we were visited according to the translations of the cuneiform tablets that are given to us from the Sumerian civilization. They were here 450,000 years ago, just like you said in your introduction. And the evidence, what I tried to do in my book, George, was to prove to myself, because I'm a tire kicker, that the Zecharia Sitchin's thesis was correct.
Does this negate the belief of God?
No, they had a God. You see,
absolutely.
It comes out that the fact they had a very interesting name for their God. They called him the creator of all, which I think is a magnificent description
Even though whatever was genetically altered on this planet to become us, they thought that these ETs were also gods, did they not?
Yes. You see, there's a kind of a interesting thing that happens when an advanced culture meets a primitive culture. The primitives look at the advanced as gods because they can't believe their technology and all the stuff that they have. And how they deal with them is usually they subjugate them, they enslave them, which is, you look at the Spanish conquistadors going over to the Incas. That's exactly what happened. And in that repetition of the history of advanced and primitive, you have a pattern that gives us what we see that I see in the cuneiform tablets. In other words, there's a story that I have also in my book. It's called Gilgamesh. And that story was a nice story. It's, the first story on the planet. Everybody looks at it and sees different things in it. What I saw in it was a transfer of information, about cloning, because the story talks about the king and his Enkidu, which is a duplicate of him, which they made. And then there's the space part of it where they fly around from the earth up into whatever they go, the heavens. And they also have weapons. They have they call the Bull of Heaven. Do you remember the Bull of Heaven, George?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, that could be it could be a laser. When the bull snorted, there was a flame that came out of his mouth. Right?
Yeah.
And if you look at it, like it blew trenches in the city of Uruk, well, that's a laser. So I look for things like that when I tried to put together the physical stuff here on the planet that made sense, that made this story of we are a genetically engineered species. And when people ask me that question, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, look at it this way. Before there were Homo sapiens, that's us, there was a species called Homo erectus. And Homo erectus was evolving, as Darwin said everything did, for 1,800,000 years.
And they may have evolved eventually into us in time, I guess.
Right. That's right, but they got extinct. What happened to them is they went bye-bye. But what I look at is, well, how far did they get technically? What was their technology? Well, they had spears, wooden throwing things. They made stone things. But even with those primitive tools, they never advanced beyond that level, and they also couldn't really speak. They didn't have what we call vocal equipment in their larynx to be able to communicate. So that's 1,800,000 years of evolution gets to this level of technology. Now here, we appear on this planet 250,000 years ago, which is a very short time.
Short time, very short in the scheme of things.
Yeah, and we're walking on the moon.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break. This is a technological achievement which is beyond anything evolution ever produced. Now, how'd that happen? That's the thing, How did we get so smart, and how did we advance so fast? And where is the link between us and Homo erectus?
And we're getting smarter, Marshall.
You're right.
Overall, not all of us, but
you're smarter than me, so I
no.
You know more about this stuff than I do, George. But anyway, I enjoy listening to you because you are so diverse in all the things that you know. And that is a compliment, my friend.
Well, thank you. Marshall, paint us a story. Paint us a picture with this story that I'm going to ask you to give us here of what you think happened nearly 500,000 years ago. Maybe even take it back, and this is where it's going to have to be speculation on your part. But, Adam the Missing Link is such a great story in your book. I might as well let your mind run wild tonight.
Okay.
I want you to speculate on the planetary system that these people may have come from, whether it's Sitchin's theory or not, and then tell me what you think they saw. Why did they come here? What did they decide to do?
Okay, their planet was in trouble. According to the records that the translations give us, their atmosphere had a hole in it, kind of like our ozone leak, and they were losing their heat. Now, their planet, according